Hello and welcome. With most of Europe and the US in lockdown, how will this affect the markets? Let's find out with Bob Mason of FX Empire. This is the Midweek Drivers. Hello Bob, and thank you for joining us once again. Let's jump straight into it. In a couple of words, what is going on in the markets at the moment?
Summing up what's going on in the global financial markets in a couple of words, well, let's use three. It's hope versus despair. Obviously we're seeing hope off the back of fiscal and monetary policy support, and then we're seeing coronavirus numbers. So it's a battle that's unlikely to stop anytime soon.
With lockdowns across the globe, the coronavirus is still the big news of the week. But how big an impact is it having on the global economy and the world in general?
Impact of the virus on the globe, significant, massive, colossal, pretty disastrous really when you consider the death toll and the spread of the virus across the world. Obviously started in China, and then now, we're looking at the US possibly becoming the epicenter of the coronavirus in the weeks ahead. Obviously governments are grappling with containing the virus, successfully or unsuccessfully in many cases, really, when you're looking at the rise in cases and death tolls. It's going to take some time for the dust to settle, for governments to assess the damage, really, which is, material and unprecedented. You can forget about the depression and things like that. This is a whole different ball game, and we're going to need this to turn around quickly, really, for the world to recover. My greatest concern remains on social unrest. Obviously, we're seeing National Guards in the US. Police are allowed to give on-the-spot fines in the UK. Obviously, we've got lockdowns globally. The only country that's really easing the lockdowns is China, with Hubei coming out overnight. Any civil unrest, things could really deteriorate quite drastically. So we need those numbers to change. Otherwise, we're going to see, social unrest in some countries could even turn into civil war. Particularly if governments fail to support the most needy. So all in all, pretty dire for now. Rays of hope, obviously, with the number of cases slowing in some of the geographies, but that's a little comfort at the moment. But let's hope there's some optimism to come.
With the service sector taking a huge hit, what is the economic data telling us about the impact of coronavirus on the global markets?
Unsurprisingly, we're waiting for yesterday's private sector PMI numbers, the prelim numbers for March. We really did get a sense of where the main hurt points are in the economies and its service sector activity. Obviously, the retail side, travel and industry, retail sales, F&B, those are areas that have been hit the hardest. Economies shutting down to contain the virus, that's basically bringing service sector activity to a halt, except for obviously, the medical services side. So that's a big chunk of the economy, global economy, that's gone. When you're considering the likes of, China, service sector activity is almost 50% of the economy. US 70%, UK 70%, Europe, obviously that was a main contributor as the manufacturing sector, has continued to struggle. So what does that mean going ahead? We're expecting some further downside in the manufacturing sector activity, more contraction, because obviously what we heard through late March was, production coming to a halt. We could get, some better news out of China, but with supply chains in dire straits, even China is unlikely to rebound anytime soon, which we're about to talk about.
And lastly, with the cases in China seemingly decreasing, what is the current situation in China?
With service sector activity around the world seeing record lows in terms of the PMIs, China is opening its doors once more and attempting to get to business as usual. The reality is it's going to take more than a couple of weeks. China's been shut down for a couple of months now, and that was, obviously with the Chinese New Year as well. Supply chain completely disrupted. Obviously, when you're looking at demand, domestic demand is going to be a drag, and then we're looking at the global demand side. And, obviously with the likes of the US and Europe in shutdown mode, there's going to be weak demand for goods from China anytime soon. It's really about bare necessities as the shutdown continues and the virus continues to spread. So while markets will be hoping for a swift turnaround, supported by, obviously, fiscal and monetary policy support, it may take a bit longer than many are expecting, which will add some pressure to the markets, obviously near term. We're going to need the global spread of the virus to abate, and we're going to need to see zero numbers in the coming weeks off the back of containment measures to then begin to really expect supply chains to rebuild and for the economies to start returning. Obviously the first things first, and that's service sector activity to rebound, and travel and tourism in particular is not going to recover anytime soon when we're considering the fact that obviously, let's face it, borders are not going to be opening with any hint of the virus lingering in any geographies.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us, Bob. That was the Midweek Drivers, and we will see you again next time.